Get ready for an interesting Smackdown as the WWE tries to follow up on the wild ride that was the 29th July 2019 episode of Monday Night Raw, as well as the latest wrestling news including Raw's ratings slide, the show's big YouTube numbers, Vince McMahon scrapping Smackdown scripts at the last minute, an update on AEW's first television episode, and a match signed for it, as well as Impact and Ring of Honor news. Tonight's episode of Smackdown Live is coming to you from the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee, home of the King of Rock and Roll Elvis Presley and King of Wrestling Jerry the King Lawler. The show begins with a video call from Shane McMahon, who says he won't be at tonight's show, and people can thank Kevin Owens for that. Thank you, Kevin Owens. Owens shows up and tells the fans they will try to find a way of getting through without Shane's presence. Owens promises the fans he won't be quitting at SummerSlam, and he'll prove this isn't Shane's ring and it isn't Shane's show, it's the Kevin Owens show. Shane's BFF Drew McIntyre shows up to spoil Owens' night, telling him he has a match tonight with him and right now. McIntyre attacks Kevin with the microphone and takes him out onto the floor, throwing him into the ring post and then onto the announce table. It's an all-out slugfest initially as both men put on a clinic in fisticuffs. Owens tries a number of big moves on McIntyre, including the frog splash and a pop-up powerbomb. However, McIntyre kicks out both times. The two brawl outside the ring and KO hits a stunner on the announce table. Owens throws Drew back into the ring and finally ends things with a super kick and a stunner. Dolph Ziggler is backstage and he talks up his match against The Miz at SummerSlam and proclaims he's the best in the business. Elsewhere, Bayley reminds Ember Moon they're teaming up tonight and she'd best not give her an eclipse like she did last week. There's a backstage promo by Aleister Black who talks of waiting for someone to knock on the door and challenge him. This time, he's not going to be so patient. However, up next is a women's tag team match between Bayley and Ember Moon versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Although the women's champion and Ember Moon are skilled competitors, Bliss and Cross seem to have the edge thanks to better chemistry and more experience working together. Ember Moon looks to be on the way to a win when she hits the eclipse on Nikki Cross. However, Alexa Bliss throws her into the ring post and hits the Twisted Bliss, covering her for the win. After the match, Bayley attacks Ember Moon with a Bayley to belly suplex, as this must be payback for Ember laying her out last week. Unfortunately, the exact same storyline is playing out on the Raw brand between Becky Lynch and Natalya. On a better note, the Bliss Cross team seems to show some promise, but the WWE should consider keeping them together before an inevitable split. Sami Zayn is being interviewed and he says he's on SmackDown to find some competition. Sami mentions Aleister Black's cry for help and says he will help him by fighting him at SummerSlam. Zayn says Black can't live up to the hype behind him and he's going to shatter the Aleister Black illusion when he gets him in the ring. It's a good promo, but it's laughable to think Zayn has any chance against Black given Zayn's history of counting the lights on a regular basis. When asked about his career-altering announcement, Daniel Bryan takes a pounder again. Well, at least this wasn't a Shane McMahon segment. It's time for the King's Court and Jerry Lawler's special guest is WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus. Stratus tells the King that it's great to see the fans and her fellow wrestlers again. Lawler asks her if she's ever thought about one more match, and Stratus says the itch is always there, but she's got so much going on right now, including being a mother. Enter Charlotte Flair. Flair challenges Stratus to a match, but when she gets no response, Flair goes to Plan B, berating Stratus and tells her the days of models shaking their butts are over and it's all about the wrestling. Flair tells Trish to get out of the ring and hop into a minivan so she can change diapers. But Stratus reminds Charlotte that she, Lita, Jacqueline, Ivory and Beth Phoenix were the trailblazers that made things possible for Charlotte and her peers. She tells Flair to be the woman, you have to beat the woman, accepting Flair's challenge. It's a good build-up for a true dream match at SummerSlam. Hopefully the WWE will build this up into something longer, possibly leading up to its next Evolution-style pay-per-view. The OC are talking about AJ's match against Kofi Kingston tonight, and AJ tells everyone he's going to remind the world why SmackDown is the house that AJ Styles built. There's a quick segment of Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse, as Rambling Rabbit tells Finn Balor he's a big fan, but that Balor's in for some serious trouble because he's unleashed the Fiend. Wyatt shows up and tells everyone to let him in. We then get video highlights of Brock destroying Seth Rollins on Raw, and Rollins is keeping his current medical condition a secret. Next up is Dolph Ziggler vs Finn Balor, and it's a battle between two former Intercontinental Champions. Then again, who hasn't had the belt recently? But Balor starts off strong and fights back Ziggler's counteroffensive. Balor looks to have Ziggler's number, but the lights go out and the Fiend shows up, giving Ziggler a chance to superkick the distracted Balor and get the win. The WWE is doing a routine but serviceable job building up Bray and Finn's SummerSlam match, but the real question is what the WWE has planned for Dolph Ziggler. Are they trying to build him back into an upper card or main event player, or is this the usual short-term push followed by a year of putting opponents over? Next up, non-title match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Mustafa Ali. It's a Smackville rematch and a match of missed finishes as neither Nakamura or Ali can hit their finishes. In the end, Ali wins with a roll-up. The WWE needs to find a better finisher for Ali and Cedric Alexander than roll-ups. But the WWE is overusing the move, and it makes both superstars look lucky rather than getting them over with high-level opponents. Orton is interviewed about his WWE Championship bout against Kofi Kingston at SummerSlam, and Orton reminds the fans that when Kofi was coming into his own in 2009, Orton was already Intercontinental Champion, WWE Champion, and World Champion. He calls Kofi's WWE title win a fluke, and he would never have had a chance had the Viper not put Ali out of action, opening the door for Kingston. Orton calls Kofi stupid for challenging him, and says he's going to end things with an RKO. Kofi's with his New Day teammates Biggie and Xavier Woods. Kofi says AJ can brag all he wants, but he's WWE Champion and his friends are Smackdown Tag Team Champions. Now it's time for the main event between AJ Styles, who's with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, versus Kofi Kingston, who's with Biggie and Xavier Woods. Smackdown delivers an excellent main event as AJ's friends in the OC try to help the Phenomenal One get the edge over the WWE Champion, while Kofi's New Day teammates keep Anderson and Gallows at bay. Despite the interference attempts by OC, Kofi stays focused, and when Styles goes for a phenomenal forearm, it's trouble in paradise for AJ and Kofi covers him for the win. A good match and another win to help build Kofi up further. In the ending segment, Kayla Braxton is in the back with Roman Reigns to ask him about who he'll face at SummerSlam. A piece of stage equipment falls on the big dog, but when backstage personnel pull it off him, he says he's fine. Kinda like shades of Mr. McMahon's Millions segment. That was the Smackdown recap/review, but let's get on to the news, with the first news being that WWE cancelled a dream match just an hour after announcing it. As initially, we were gonna get all three members of the New Day battle all three members of the OC, but WWE quickly changed it to just AJ Styles versus Kofi Kingston. They announced that match on Twitter and quickly deleted it. This goes on to our next top story as Mr. McMahon scraps another script. Several sites reported today that Vince McMahon scrapped the entire script for the 30th July SmackDown the very day of the show. Did McMahon see the overnights for Raw and panic, or was it another one of his notorious last-minute decisions? Pro Wrestling Sheet's Ryan Satin reported, hearing from sources that Vince McMahon called in the SmackDown creative team to totally rewrite the show today. Later in the day, Brad Shepard informed fans, a source in WWE indicated that that is not exactly accurate. The show was partially rewritten, specifically the opening and ending segments, due to a perceived above-average reaction to Raw. What were those Raw ratings? Well, this Monday's Raw was arguably the best show of 2019 and one of the best in years. However, ratings don't jump overnight, and despite a great show, the ratings dropped significantly from the 22nd July Raw reunion show. That was expected, but compared to Raw's ratings to the 15th July Raw, you could draw your own conclusion. Or you can rely on Dave Meltzer's conclusions, as Meltzer observed the ratings and commented, "The number was going to be down greatly from last week because of how Raw reunion was going to be a number that couldn't be duplicated this year." The drop was 25%, but it was also down 5% from the show 2 weeks earlier. This is a mixed bag regarding the show itself. The first hour started low, not a good sign after such a high number the prior week, but it held up better than the usual with only a 7.2% first to third hour drop. The third hour, because of the women, actually beat the first in the 18 to 49 demo. Women 18 to 49 gained 7.8% from hour 1 to hour 3, and men stayed even. Teenage girls were up 9.4% from the hour 1 to hour 3, while teenage boys were down from 13.5% from hour 1 to 3. Regardless of the ratings, WWE's YouTube channel is still doing big numbers. Fightful.com listed the top 5 segments, with Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns sparking an all-out brawl with 2.4 million views. In second place, Brock Lesnar assaults Seth Rollins with 1.4 million views. Brock Lesnar pummels and injured Seth Rollins with another 1.4 million views. Maria becomes 24/7 champion with 450,000 views. And then she confronts Braun Strowman with 411,000 views. But that was some WWE news. What about All Elite Wrestling's first television match? As All Elite Wrestling is wasting no time building up on its series premiere on TNT on 2nd October, with the promotion announcing that Cody Rhodes will take on Sammy Guevara. Cody tweeted that, "I was excited this was the match selected. To have a young and hungry opponent who has no ceiling when it comes to pro wrestling, going forward not backwards." Tickets for the show go on sale Friday 2nd August at noon. Moving on to some Impact news, RHINO signs with Impact. In an exclusive story, Sporting News reported that RHINO has signed a deal with Impact Wrestling. This comes after finishing up his run in WWE. In an exclusive interview, RHINO discussed how he was happy with his run in the WWE, but he wants to help find and build up new talent, something that didn't seem likely in the WWE. He discussed the lucrative offer made to him by the WWE. "Basically, I was talking with Mark Carrano, WWE Senior Director of Talent Relations, and Vince McMahon threw out a number. It was double my downside. It was more money than I would have made in wrestling altogether. I love being on the road, whether it's working with independent promotions or with Impact, AEW or WWE. My window of being on the road is closing. I realize that. My thing is, I enjoy being in the locker rooms and helping people out. My goal is to find the next John Cena, the next Steve Austin or the next RVD. I can't do that if I'm sitting at home. I'm more beneficial to being on the road." RHINO's already been positioned for a program with Michael Elgin, so he's off to a good start. And our last bit of news, Ring of Honor is teaming up with CMLL. Wrestling fans who enjoy Ring of Honor and Lucha Libre are in for a real treat this September. Ring of Honor has been collaborating with Lucha Libre mainstay CMLL for 3 years now and announced, "The biggest stars in CMLL are headed to Ring of Honor to do battle with Ring of Honor's top stars in Global Wars, a 3-city tour in September. Global Wars has been a staple event in Ring of Honor since 2012, but the 2019 version marks the first time the sensational luchadors from CMLL, the top promotion in Mexico, will be involved." Global Wars Spectacular kicks off on September 6 at the Ford Community Center in Dearborn, Michigan, then heads to the EDM Expo in Chicago on September 7th, and concludes at the Potawatomi Casino in Milwaukee on September 8th. But there you have it guys, your recap/review for Smackdown and the latest WWE, AEW, Impact and Ring of Honor news. What are your thoughts on last night's Smackdown show? Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.